Hi, this is Robin, and this is my second video in the Adjusting Tonal Values in Photoshop demo series that I'm putting together. I had mentioned in my last video that I was going to do a series of 3 different videos on different methods that can be used in Photoshop to do tonal value adjustment on color images. The first video that I put together and have posted on YouTube is using the Image Apply Image method in Photoshop. This video, in the second one in the series, is going to be focused on using the black and white adjustment layer plus a blend mode in Photoshop. So again, there are multiple methods that can be used with the black and white adjustment layer in Photoshop. And so the ones that I'm going to walk through and do some demos with to show you today are working with sliders on a black and white adjustment layer, using the targeted adjustment tool on an image, and then also just trying the black and white adjustment layer presets. And I'm specifically mentioning using the black and white adjustment layer versus using the image adjustments, black and white, or desaturate, because using those can be destructive to your images, meaning you can't recover from them once you've made changes using these types of adjustments under the image menu. If we work in the adjustment layers, this little circular icon here with the line through it, the adjustment layers that you'll see as a pop-up here are not destructive, and you can undo the changes there. So that's why I'm recommending working with a black and white adjustment layer for your toning jobs in Photoshop. So let me, as I always do when I'm first starting here, this is the image that I'm going to be working with, and it's a shot I made at the Parliament building in Ottawa, Canada. So for the 3 different methods, I'm going to stick with using this same image. I always duplicate my layer and my background image before I start working. I don't want to take any chances that anything I'm doing is going to ruin my original image, so that's why I like to duplicate and work on a duplicate copy. So, as I said, the first method that I was going to show you is working with sliders on a black and white adjustment layer. So let's open a black and white adjustment layer. Again, we go to the bottom of the layers panel and click on this little circle with the line through it to expose some of the different adjustment layers, and just slide down to where it says black and white and click on that. And that opens a black and white adjustment layer. It opens so that the mask is active, and then there's a layer thumbnail here for that black and white layer. Down at the bottom is where you'll see the properties for the black and white adjustment layer and where you can make the various types of adjustments. In this first example and demo, I'm going to show you how to work with these various different color sliders that can be used and moved to change the look of this image. And as you can see, by opening up a black and white adjustment layer, it automatically converts your color image to a black and white. So if you wanted to make a conversion to black and white and stay at black and white, this is a very good type of a tool to use here in Photoshop. But I'm going to use it just as a means to an end, as a way to tone a color image. So we'll be going back to color once I get some of the tonal values, the darks and lights, adjusted. So if we go down to the sliders, we can see, watching the image as I pull the different sliders, what happens. So and again, it's trial and error, so there's no magic numbers I can give you. You just have to play with your individual image and try moving the sliders and see what happens. So as we move the red to the left, you can see how dark it's getting. If we move it to the right, it's creating some tonal variation that I like here in this image. So I like it somewhere in there, I think. Let's see here. Red. Yeah, somewhere around in there. So that gets me some more light values in my image, and it's not going too dark. Let's see what the yellow does if we go to the left first. Okay, so again, you can see that the yellow's in the image. And let me just turn this eye off for a minute so you can see how much yellow there is in this image. So we're going to get a lot of impact from the yellow slider in this with the tonal values. So let me see. So this is getting too dark. So let me try going up this direction. Yeah, I like this. This is getting more pop in that building for me and for my taste. Okay, so I'm going to leave the yellow slider in that general direction. Let's see if green does anything for us here. Okay, so this steeple or the top of the building there has a lot of green in it. And that's the main, and some of these different areas here, so you can see where the green should be affecting to see how that's going to impact it by pulling the slider. So on this one, I actually like the opposite. I like this a little darker because it's giving me some more variety relative to the rest of the building. So I'm going to leave the green slider down there. And I think there's some blue in this image. Yeah, so some of the blue area here. So let's see what the cyans do for us. If we go darker, oh yes, that's making the sky a little bit more interesting to me. All right, so I'll leave that around there. And then let's see with the cyans, let's see what the blue does. There should be some impact with the blues going darker too, since we saw that there was some blue in the sky. Okay, yeah, I like this because this is getting a little more moody or a little more interesting. Yeah, let me stay around there with that. And then hiding down here is a magenta, and I'm not expecting this to have any impact because I didn't see any magenta. So after I slide it around, I'll usually just leave it somewhere in the middle if I don't see any impact on that. Okay, so we've gotten the image toned so that I'm seeing some more tonal variations in here, but I do want to keep this as a color image that's just toned a little bit better. So what I do is make sure that this icon for the adjustment, the black and white adjustment layer, is what's framed with the white, so that's what means it's active. And then I'm going to go up here to where the blend modes are and open that up, and I'm going to try some of the... Okay, so here's overlay, which I think is way too contrasty and I don't like that. Soft light has made this very dark, but it's okay if you want a really dramatic kind of a building. Let me try luminosity. To me, those are the ones that typically, yeah, see, I mean, this is going to give you a completely different look with these. So I think overlay, soft light, and luminosity would be the ones that you would want to work with in the black and white adjustment layer. So I personally like the look of luminosity best for my image because I think we're not getting too extreme or too crazy with this. If this is still a little bit of an extreme look for your taste on your image, another option you have once you get it to this level is to go to the opacity control and maybe just lower it slowly and a little bit at a time till you see, yeah, so I like that. So let's see what we've got here. If we turn off the adjustments that have been made, you can see it's actually made quite an big impact, and I think gives it some more pop here with the black and white adjustment layer slider adjustments. So I like that, and I'm going to leave that like that. What I like to do when I'm working is to label my layers. So, well, we know we're working in black and white, so let's just call this slider adjustments or adjusts. Slider adjust, we'll know what that means. So that was what we achieved using the sliders. Okay, so now the next approach, let me turn that off so that we're starting from the base image again. So this is the same as the base one there, you can see. The second approach that I said I wanted to show you was using the targeted adjustment tool, again on a black and white adjustment layer. So let's again go down to our adjustment layer icon, open up a black and white adjustment layer, and let me see if I can slide this up here. Let me slide this below here. Okay. So that we keep moving up in the stack of what we're doing. Okay, so we're on a new black and white adjustment layer, And this little icon here, that it looks like a little hand with a pointed finger, is the targeted adjustment tool, and that lets you work directly on your image if it is turned on. So I have mine set to automatically turn on whenever I'm going to use it. If you want to turn yours on so that you don't have to click on it to use it each time, you can come to, I think it's this menu here, yeah, and you just click here. See where I have the check mark where it says Auto Select Targeted Adjustment Tool? Just click on that, and then every time you open one of the adjustment layers that have the targeted adjustment tool on it, like curves or black and white, this will already be turned on and you don't have to turn it on. So with that little targeted adjustment tool active, all you have to do is click on a part of your image that you want to adjust and then just slide to the right or left. So can you see that's getting lighter there in that area? I started and clicked in this area here where I wanted to adjust that tone, kept my mouse depressed. I'm using my mouse. I'm left clicking, keeping it depressed and pulling to the right. Now on the top up here, I'm going to click and hold and pull to the left and make that a little bit darker. Okay, down here where it's darker, it might be the same color as some of the others, so let's just see if that does anything or if that makes other things lighter. Down here in the sidewalk, I'm going to click and pull. This is all very experimental to make this a little darker. And I'm going to make this a little bit lighter. There we go. Make the roof a little bit darker. And make this up in here, this what I'm calling the steeple, a little bit darker too. Make the clock a little bit brighter. Okay. And this area here, maybe make this a little bit darker too. Alright, so again, I've got my black and white tonal adjustments here. So now let's go back, click on the icon for the black and white adjustment layer. Go back to our blend modes. And let's try the three that I said before. So let's try overlay. Oh no, for me that's too much contrast. Soft light, for me overlay in general is very contrasting, so I very seldom use that. Soft light I think is still too much, and let's go down to luminosity. So again, luminosity is the one that I like, so I'm going to click and apply the luminosity blending mode to this. And this layer is what we achieved with the targeted adjustment tool. Okay. So far we've used slider adjustments on a black and white adjustment layer and the targeted adjustment tool. The final method, and let's turn that off so we can start from here again. The final method that I was going to show you using the black and white adjustment layer in order to adjust the tonal values in a color image is using the presets in the black and white adjustment layer. So again, let's come down to our adjustment layers icon, down here the circle with the line through it. Go down to and click on black and white. It opens up a new black and white layer. And let's see if I'm any better here. There we go, pulled that up to the top. and let's click on the icon here, and if we go down to the properties panel for the black and white adjustment layer, you'll see that there's a section here called presets, and it always opens to what's the default. So let's open that up, and again this is going to be another trial and error type of an approach to see what we like. So I'll click down on each of these and you can watch the image and see how it changes the image. So this is the blue filter. To me that's made it way too dark. I'm just clicking on it. Darker, let's click on that. For me there's no tonal variation. That's what I'm looking for, is tonal variation and something that's going to add interest. Okay, the green filter is doing some nice kind of subtle adjustments in here for me. high contrast blue. Oh no, that's awful. That's way too dark. High contrast red. I like what that's doing to the sky, but I don't think it's particularly doing anything to me for me to the foreground. So let's just keep that in mind, that the high contrast red is looking nice for the sky. Infrared is sort of interesting. I mean, I think we're not getting enough pop-up in this area here, but it's doing nice things to the building. Lighter, no, that's not doing anything. It's all sort of unitonal. Maximum black is not good. Maximum white is not good. There's not enough tonal variation. Neutral density, I don't think there's enough pop in that. The red, so I even like the red filter better than the high contrast red for what it's doing for the sky. So I don't like it for the buildings, but I want to keep it in mind as a way to maybe adjust that sky. And then finally the yellow filter. No, so I don't care for what that did. So I think of the presets that we looked at, for my taste, I really like the green filter, I think, the best for giving me some tonal variation. Let's just try it again with infrared. Okay, actually I like the infrared for the building. Okay, so I'm changing my mind here. Let's go with infrared for the building. So we've got the black and white adjustment layer using the infrared preset, and let's see what we want to put this on. Let's see if luminosity, yeah, so luminosity blend mode again, using the blend modes. And let's, as I said, I want to do something different for the sky and just see what it does out of curiosity. So right now we've tried 3 different methods. So let's just do a quick recap before I play with the sky. So we've added the slider adjustments approach to using the black and white adjustment layer. Moving the sliders, the color sliders down here has produced this look. Using the targeted adjustment tool, so this little hand and sliding directly on the image has produced that look while we're in the black and white adjustment layer. And then this is what we have so far by using the infrared preset on a black and white adjustment layer. So if you'll remember from the first video, a way we can adjust the layer separately is click on one of your original layers. So as I said, I always like to work on a duplicate. And we're going to select the sky, so we can just work on the sky and not adjust the buildings, because we have the buildings where we like the look of them. So we'll go up to the Select menu in Photoshop, come down to Sky, and let Photoshop think for a moment. And now we have the marching ants with a selection around the sky in this image. We'll come over to this background layer. We'll go down to the bottom of the Layers panel and click on the Layer Mask icon, which is the rectangle with the circle in it. And there you can see we've created a mask for our sky. So if you click on that, you can see the sky is revealed and the buildings in the foreground are concealed or hidden. So now what I'm going to do is create another black and white adjustment layer. So we'll go down to our bottom of our Layers panel, click on black and white. We're going to move this up to the top. And we're going to turn this off for now. And we're going to go back to the preset that I mentioned, that I said that we liked, that it looked kind of good and had pop to it, for the red filter. Let's see the red. Let's just do a quick recap. And the high contrast red. Yeah, I like the high contrast red. That's got more personality. Okay, so right now we've got the high contrast red applied to the entire image. Let's take our mask and move it up to that layer. I'm just clicking on that mask and dragging it up and then releasing it up there. And we've got a much moodier sky there. Now if we do this with this layer active here, and we add a luminosity mask like we had to the other layer here, now we've got a lot more drama. So we've got the building, so this is the preset on the foreground. This is the preset on the sky. And on both of these, we're using the luminosity mask. So on the building and the foreground, we're using the infrared preset and a luminosity blend mode. For the sky, we've used just a mask that only reveals the sky. We're using the high contrast red filter as our preset for the sky, and a luminosity blend mode to bring back the color from the black and white. Now if this is a little bit too intense, which I think it is, we can go over to our opacity and lower that until we get some pop, but not too much. So let me see here. Yeah, so I think that's good. It gives it a little bit more of like almost a stormy sky kind of an approach. So there we go with 3 different approaches, and if we go through each of them, let me turn these 2 off. We have the difference between the original, the slider adjustment version on black and white, and the original, which I think we've done some really nice tonal value adjustments with that. We've tried the targeted adjustment tool to see how that can add some toning to our color image using the black and white adjustment layer. And we have used a preset approach in the black and white adjustment layer to add some tonal variety to our color image. So that's all I had to demo for this time in terms of using the black and white adjustment layer and showing you 3 different methods of working with the black and white adjustment layer plus a blend mode. You have to use the blend mode to get back to your color image. Working with sliders, the targeted adjustment tool, and black and white presets. So our next video will be covering the 3rd in the series, which is using selective toning via sculpting with curves and levels. I'll see you then.